All right. Good morning. Welcome, everybody, to the Saturday Morning Mastermind. I'm your host, Samantha Studebaker-Carl, and I'm here with my good friends Dan, Sandy, Karen, Christina just jumped on, and Sandy. And we're going to be talking about intention. That's kind of the topic of our conversation for today. And the reason we're talking about it is because we're discussing the book, The Wisdom of Sundays by Oprah Winfrey, and we're on chapter 2, which is the topic of intention. But before we get going with that, I want to give everybody an opportunity to introduce themselves. And for those of you who are watching, I'm trying to remember to tell you to jump below the video to join us in our Facebook group. And of course, like this video, subscribe to us on YouTube so you get updates every time we upload a new video. We have over 200 videos on our YouTube channel now. We just uploaded the 200th one recently for this particular channel. Prior to that, we already had like 20 some videos on another channel, so you can find that playlist on our YouTube channel as well. So actually we have over 200 that are Saturday Morning Masterminds, and you can jump into any of those and add your thoughts below the videos or join us in our Facebook community, which is Mindset Mastery Collective. So come join us, hang out with us, share your thoughts and opinions. We'd love to hear from you. So with that, okay, guys, go ahead and jump out, introduce yourselves, and then we can get this conversation going.
I'll pop out. Hello, Sandy here in Miami Beach. Missed you all. Every weekend has been busy, so it's good to be back and back in the loop with you all. I'm excited to start sharing this book in audio with you.
Good morning. Such a strange person. It's such a weird thing to see myself because I don't look like I think I should look. I never have. I've always been this completely alien person. My name's Karen Lohoff, and I am still in the East Valley of the Valley of the Sun, which is in Phoenix, Arizona area. And hopefully I will soon be hailing you from Tucson and telling you the delights of being further south and being a little bit smaller and all that kind of stuff. I'm always eager to come to these meetings on Saturday morning. They're like the highlight of my week, and today is St. Patrick's Day, and as I look about me, I have no green on, so I'm glad that you're all at a far distance, but I wish you happiness anyway.
Dan Sislick here in Las Vegas, Nevada. Yeah, you're right. I forgot that today is St. Patrick's Day, so I'll hold my green pillow I have on my bed. That way I can't be pinched. But looking forward to getting into what this has to say and share what and hear what everybody has to share. And so let's get things going.
Hey everybody, Christina Irvin here. I'm looking forward to this discussion.
Awesome, guys. We're all glad to have you here. And I just wanted to mention Catherine. She's not feeling well this morning, so she won't be jumping out and saying anything. But she's out in Boulder, Colorado, and she normally jumps in and shares some awesome and amazing wisdom. But today, she's not feeling good, so we wish you some healing energy, Catherine. We hope you feel better so that you can participate with us next week. But she's kind of here in the background listening in, and I'm sure that if she feels compelled, she'll add some comments in our chat, which I can share. But she's the one recording this, so that's why you see her picture down there as well. So guys, today we're talking about intention, and Oprah puts a quote at the beginning of this chapter. It says, "The number one principle that rules my life is intention. Thought by thought, choice by choice, we are co-creating our lives based on the energy of our intention." And that's from Oprah. And that's such a powerful thing, their intention, because what we intend to happen typically does. Now, we think sometimes that that's not what's happening. We think we're intending for something else to happen, but I think that we're not always aware of what our deeper intention is. And that's kind of what I'm thinking we're going to talk about today. one thing to kind of be aware of with this book study is that if you have the ebook version, you're going to see that in there, Oprah shares excerpts from many different spiritual and thought leaders. And then if you have the audio version, then you're going to experience more of a single interview that she does with one particular person. And for this particular chapter, she interviews Gary Zukav, who is the author of The Seat of the Soul. And they discuss that quite a bit in this chapter. So depending on what you're listening to or what you're reading, you can share your thoughts and participate in the discussion accordingly. So does anybody have some thoughts just right off the bat on the topic of intention as they kind of saw it in this book? Does everybody have a version of the book so far? I know Christina you've got the audio version, don't you? Sandy?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I've got the book.
The book version?
And I just first opened it. So, but I love the first page on intention. The quote by Oprah says, the number one principle that rules my life is intention. Thought by thought, choice by choice, we are co-creating our lives based on the energy of our intention. And it reminded me of a conversation I had with a friend this week, where I was telling him, when I wake up in the morning, I connect to Creator, I connect to the light, and I set an intention for the day. What is it that I want to fulfill my purpose today, to have a happy day, whatever it is. And so I was explaining it to him because he does this prayer, but he feels like he just reads it and every day, but he's like, I just read it, but I don't feel like I'm getting anything out of it. So I was saying, maybe set an intention before it. Like, why are you doing the prayer? What is it that you're connecting to? Is it a greater intention for your day or for while you're sleeping or whatever? So I realized how much when I am setting an intention for my day, how much it shifts my day. Like, it makes a big difference in my day when I take, even if it's 30 seconds to just connect and say, this is my intention. And it also reminded me of some Abraham Hicks stuff. I forget which book it's from, but they share a lot about setting your intention before everything you do, whether you're getting into the car to drive, how do you want your drive to go? Before you're getting on a phone call, how do you want that conversation to go with that person? And that guides you. And then one thing he said is, well, like, how do you live spontaneously? Like, if something happens, then, and I'm like, well, that's not the point of setting the intention. Of course, things are going to come in, but you're already in a better mindset from just setting that intention. Like, something may come in spontaneously to take you off track, or something just happens, whatever, normal, every day. We can't predict how our days are, but just having that intention sort of puts us in a mindset where if something sideswipes us, we're like, oh, it doesn't maybe affect us as much because we have that clarity of that intention. I've noticed how powerful it is. So to see Oprah quote on the opening of the page there is powerful for me, I think. So I need to share that to start. I'm gonna read this quote or the first part from Gary Zukav. It's actually the first spiritual book I read probably 20 years ago. Like, I was going through a really dark period of my life, and I'm like, I need something. I had no one to talk to. Like, I was afraid to talk to somebody about what I was going through. So I'd heard about this book, The Seat of the Soul, and it was like, it changed my life and my outlook. And because I just was like, this makes so much sense. And then that's where my spiritual path started. So it's awesome that she has Gary Zukav in there.
Are you going to read the quote, Sandy?
I did. I thought I read it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were going to read another quote. I'm sorry.
Oh, did I read the Oprah one? Yeah. Okay. Oh, no. Well, the one was Gary Zukav. I mean, it's sort of long, so I'm just going to skim through it, and I'll hop out if I have points from that section that resonate. Thank you.
Well, I was just going to say, and you kind of hinted at it, but I was going to say that really intention is kind of like, someone who gets in a boat and they set coordinates, or you get in your car and you put in the address in the GPS. Like, the intention is your compass and your direction for the day. It doesn't mean that there's no veering off or detouring or anything like that. It certainly does not eliminate the possibility for spontaneity. But the thing about intention is, for me, I've come to realize that that's kind of my get out of jail free card. In that, anything that I'm doing throughout the day, any way that I interact throughout the day, my intention is at the core of the energy behind it. So even like Oprah, how like this became the number one reason that her show grew and was so successful, because she understood the power of intention when she read that book. Being able to say no is not about it is about the intention behind why you said it. And for me, I've come to really understand the energy of intention, because that's the energy of where my soul is starting. And it's the place where I can do the check-in to make sure that my my integrity is within balance, to make sure that I'm not taking a step out of integrity for the sake of wanting to avoid confrontation, or wanting to please someone, or wanting to do anything. Anytime I take a step, I can check my intention, and I can know that I'm still within my personal integrity.
As you're saying that, I was reading the part where Oprah talks about Gary Zukav in The Seat of the Soul, and she says, for many years, she suffered from the disease to please. So it goes with what you're saying. She worried about if she ever said no to something, people would think she's not nice. Why wouldn't she do that? But then the power of intention cured her of that. She stopped listening to that voice that was trying to convince her about what other people would think, and listened to the truth of who I really was, telling me what I really wanted. So what is my truest intention? Give yourself time to let that answer resound within you. So I think that's important too. Yeah, to really, because so much stuff can come at us, and we feel like a lot of times like bad to say no. And it actually reminds me of something I'm going through, because I had a friend ask me to join her in a business, and I said yes, and I do feel good about it, but it just reminded me like of all the things that I'm doing. Like, there are some things that I'm going to have to start saying no to for sure, or I'm just going to explode. So, good point.
I like that you brought up, Christina, the aspect of checking in with yourself before you take some kind of a step, to make sure that you aren't taking that step based on fear of what someone else might think or expect, or etc., and instead checking in with your own true self to determine which path that you want to take. Because I think that's a big thing that we have to kind of recognize within ourselves, is what is our real intention behind our actions? Because if we're so worried about what someone else is going to think or expect or that kind of thing, then we're actually acting from a place of fear, or from a feeling of fear of, instead of an intentional action, coming from our deeper self. I guess that's what I'm trying to convey. And she kind of talks about that a little bit in here. And she says that one of the lessons she learned with her conversations between Gary and the other spiritual teachers is that this is what is behind all relationships. Kind of the key, or the relationship between us and people, us and things, us and experiences, etc., is that energy that we put out into the world is the energy that we get back. And if we're putting out an energy of fear, then we're going to get things that cause us to have more fear, right? When she was having the conversation with Gary Zukav in in the audio interview, they talk about that why behind the why. So if you are suggesting that you're doing something, the reason you say that you're doing this is because, I want to get a bigger house because I, really want a bigger house, but the true reason behind it is because you're trying to impress the Joneses or up one on the Joneses, then you're really acting out of the space of fear, versus the other side of it could be, I don't know, their suggestion was, maybe you want to have a bigger house so you have more space because you have 4 kids, or, etc. I don't know. What do you guys think about that aspect of it? It's just like diving deeper within to determine what your true why is.
I'm going to jump out for me a little personally, because this is an area that I'm still trying to, I think even in my years, trying to get and wrap my head around, is because I believe my intentions that I set for myself are intentions that are what I want to benefit me and to help me get to where I want to go, and, for, striving towards where I want to be and how I want to treat people and stuff. But I tend to seem to still get things that happen in my life that are not the intentions that I ever wanted or ever set for myself. And yet I'm still trying to understand how, if I, in my head or in myself, feel I never put those intentions out there, how is that still coming back to me? And that's where I have the problem with when people say that, well, your real intentions must be, different than, or what you're putting out is different than what you're thinking. And that's where I guess that's where my real problem is, when people say, oh, well, your intentions really must not be in line with what you're, and it's like, but deep down in me, I never asked to have certain things happen in my life that have happened over, the last few years, the ups and downs I've gone through, and yet they've still happened. So that's where I would love to be able to have somebody real tell me, that, you know, why that happened, when that really never has really ever been my intention.
What in the world does intention have to do with you playing God? You ain't God, so you cannot control what goes on in the universe. Let me just make it simple for you. It's just not even possible. It's not even that crucial. I think that's the frustrating thing when we talk about subjects like this. And I'm just gonna let y'all know I woke up on that extra real side of the bed today, so you just gonna have to let me know if I get a little bit too real with it. But like literally, when we have topics like this, the tendency is to get so woo woo and esoteric about it that we take things so overly literal, and it's really not even. It isn't even possible that in any way you can control the outcome of things. Your intentions. This is not to say that your intentions are always going to be predictable, or your intentions and that it's always going to be predictable, that your intentions and what actually occurs are always going to be in alignment, because they're not. And you can also have an intention but be quite unaware of sort of the negative energy that you allow into your space, into your mind, into your heart, that also alters how your intention might get carried out. There are so many factors that go into it. It's not so much that it's your fault that things are occurring a different way. And yes, it is possible that another energy could be playing into it. But to suggest that your intention is always going to equate to the reality of what occurs throughout a day, I just think is unrealistic. And quite honestly, I don't even think it's my business to worry about all that extra stuff, because that's only extra stuff to be weighing down my mindset or my bandwidth. That's extra stuff that keeps me out of the moment, such that if I were possibly 100% present in the moment, some outside energy that comes in, I might handle completely different if I was actually present in the moment and wholly able to receive the guidance from my higher power, the give me the direction to order my next step that might stay in an alignment of my intention. Does it make sense what I'm trying to say?
Actually, yeah. To be honest, nobody has ever said it in the way you just said it for me to understand. So actually, yeah, you helped really clarify it in some ways that um, I believe I will always have what I believe are the positive best intentions for myself. But yet, even I, like I said, I can't control every little thing, and I'm not trying to control every little thing. It's just I've, feel like, every time I've had things go on and I've said, but, this is not where I've viewed, this is not what I intended, this is not where I wanted to be, and yet this happened. And I've had other people kind of say, well, you must be doing or something, and it's like, well, to me, no, I never really intentionally intended anything of that sort to happen. But like you said, maybe had I been more aware of how I was responding, I guess, is the way I'm understanding the way you're saying it, how I was responding to the stimuli that's coming in from outside forces is in retrospect why maybe some of those things happen rather than turning around and centralizing and looking at the moment for what that moment was and tying into what my beliefs are. And I believe in God, or however you want to express it, and looking for that guidance that way in how I should move forward. So yeah, I get a lot of what you're saying.
And if you get the grace and the gift of choosing your intention, then doesn't the next person, then the next person, then the next person? So there's a lot of intention out there that, again, aren't all in alignment.
I'm reminded in this chapter, a while back, Sandy, you had shared with us an interview with, or it was a talk that Neil Donald Walsh had done on the keys to the kingdom. Do you remember that one? Where he was talking about basically what Oprah says in this little section here. She says, the energy we put out in the world is the energy we get back. So if you want more love in your life, set your intention to be more loving. If you want more kindness, if you want to see more kindness in the world, then set your energy on empathy and compassion. Conversely, if you wonder why there's so many angry people in your life, look no further than the resentment you hold in your own heart. And let's see here. So I thought that it in that conversation, or that thing that Neil Donald Walsh was talking about, it was basically the same thing. Is that if you're doing some kind of, action or something, and you have this kind of like fear coming from, you're doing it because of a fear of, that you're actually going to create more of that fear in your experience. And of course, we try to articulate this. Sandy, do you want to jump in on your thoughts on that? I don't know if I'm getting across what I'm trying to, because you listened to that one as well. You remember that?
Yeah, when I did read this section, I thought of that too. If you want more love, give more love. I don't remember much of the rest of it, though. But that if you want something to give it, same with like prosperity, and prosperity doesn't have to be giving away money necessarily, but volunteering or giving somebody a listening ear. But everything that we're giving out, we'll get back. And like he says in the book, if we're putting out anger, we're going to be surrounded with people that are giving us the anger back. And like you're saying with fear, Um, if we're projecting out that energy of fear, then yeah, we'll keep attracting things that will keep us in that fear state. So yeah, whatever, definitely we're putting out on the positive or negative vibes, it comes, because it's like that attraction energy where you're attracting the energy that we put out.
It's just the laws of physics. I mean, it's inertia. Anything and everything has an equal and opposite reaction, and so it's going to keep going until an outside force, if you will, changes it. And your intention of good, of positive, of bravery, of consciousness, of empathy, all of those things are an outside force that can change the direction of what you are being met with, or what you happen to receive. And it's like you're a magnet for it. I was speaking to someone last week, and they were like, you know, because he's a business person, and his staff is online essentially, marketing his business and stuff. And he's like, well, I'm getting ready to just take them off because all of my female staff are getting met with the most horrible, like, sexual advancements and just horrible stuff and da 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 da. And you're online and you're doing these live videos and stuff like that. Do you get all these trolls and stuff? And I'm like, well, everybody's going to get some, yeah. But to be honest with you, I don't get a whole big bunch. And 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 he goes, but you know what? I have to say that your energy wouldn't attract many of those. Your energy would repel most of them, I can imagine. And I literally I don't understand. Everybody's always like, oh my God, I don't want to do this because these trolls and stuff. And it's not that I'm saying there's not a level of like I'm better than or anything. I just don't even have all that stuff in my life because like the energy of this universe knows I'm not down for all that mess. You can take that somewhere else. Like I ain't even having it. It is you are wasting your time coming to Christina. Because I'm not even going to embrace that mess. Not like, and that is the intention that I have, that I like walk with. And so I don't get met with a lot of that. I really do believe that.
Oh, I'm right there with you, Christina. That's it. I've been online for a long time too. I've got tons of videos out there and tons of, doing all kinds of stuff. And I've not experienced more than just a random, it's like less than 1% of any people interacting with me give me any kind of crap like that. I just, and I've heard the same thing from a lot of people where they're just like, oh, I just get these people that, nah, 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 nah. And I'm like, well, what are you doing yourself? Are you being, are you doing the same thing? Do you come on to, the online space expecting that's what's going to happen? Because if you do, that's what you're going to get. Because I don't remember what that, there's like I don't know what it's called, but anyway, the what you focus on is what you get, right? Well, what you look for, you're going to see. So if you go out into the world and you're like, like if you decide you're going to go look for a particular brand of car and you're like thinking about it a lot, then
your reticular activator.
Yeah, exactly. Where you start seeing that car everywhere you go, even though 2 weeks ago you weren't seeing it at all. And it's the same thing with your intention. When you intend, or I don't know, I think a lot of time you don't even realize that you're intending something. You're just thinking about it randomly, and then there it is, because you just happen to run into it. And I don't think it's not random. It's because that's what you're focused on. And it's the same thing with your emotions, with your energies, the things that you do, the things you say. So when an event happens, whatever it is, whether you're driving down the road and somebody cuts you off and you are just like, God, people always cutting me off. When you start getting that energy inside of you, what happens? It happens again. You see it again. You keep recognizing all these things that are causing you to get more and more and more upset. Whereas when, like, Sandy's always talking about doing gratitude in the morning, when we start thinking about the things that we're happy about, the things that we desire, or that we are appreciating in our lives, then we start recognizing all these more things that we're appreciating in our lives. That's why in the beginning she's talking about, if you want more love in your life, give more love, be more loving. Because when you are more loving, you start noticing more loving things that are happening out in the world. And when you're being more positive, it's the same thing. But when you're being negative, my God, it comes out. It's like seeps out of the walls. You know what I mean? You start noticing it. So, yeah, jump out, Christina.
I was just gonna say, like, yeah, like all what you're like everybody's saying goes back to what I was saying about the ability to be present in the moment and conscious in the moment. Like all of this is, you see how all of this is building that, and it's kind of like your intention is kind of like your superpower shield for being able to go through the day and stay. That's what I meant by that's how I order my my integrity, me staying balanced in my integrity throughout the day, because I'm kind of ordering, like I'm putting my shield around me. Y'all know I get on a weekly call with another one of my mentors, and last week before the call, he had us watch a TED Talk, and the TED Talk was all about how parasites in the world are born, and they can only breed and reproduce in certain bodies, in certain forms of animals. And so it gave an example of how, like, there's this one cricket that a parasite gets inside this one cricket, and it releases some kind of toxin that makes the cricket basically go crazy and start going towards bodies of water. And the reason that the parasite does that is because it can only reproduce in water, or it can only get out in water. So it gets in the cricket, drives the cricket's brain crazy. The cricket goes to the water, and then it swims out the cricket's body so that it can reproduce in the water, because that's the only way that it can function, right? And like and it showed an example of another kind of parasite that can only reproduce in the body of a flamingo. So the parasite gets into, I forget what it was, but it was basically something that the flamingo eats. And then, so once the flamingo eats that little insect thing or whatever, then it is now inside the flamingo and it can reproduce. Well, and the reason that we had that discussion is because there are all these like parasites out there that their intention is for negative, is for darkness, is for evil, is to drive you off your path. And there's all these little subtle ways that they get into you. So if I have a doubt about my ability to show up in this world as greatly as Samantha seems to be showing up in the world, then that little doubt parasite comes into me, because I'm a perfect environment for it to breed and grow. Now, everything that I do throughout the day, I'm looking at Sports Center, and I see LeBron James do this power dunk over somebody. I'm like, wow, I could never do something that great. And then I get on, and then I listen to a podcast, and I hear someone teaching something. I'll be like, oh my gosh, wow, I could never present like that. I could never be that confident. I could never. You know, and I have this. I'm a breeding ground. I'm walking through the world, and I'm a breeding ground for worry, because I just worry about everything. And so there comes that parasite of worry inside me, and it continues to breed and grow throughout the day, because I'm a perfect environment for that parasite. I mean, there's so much that we are unconscious of. That no matter, Dan, going back to what your question was, no matter our intention, we are a perfect breeding ground for all kinds of things to throw us off of that intention.
Yeah, the things that all of you were saying right now, and as I was listening to, it makes perfect sense, and that's now going back to, like you said, being present in the moment. That's how you can start understanding and realizing what's coming your way, and how to, like you said, get in touch with however you look at the universe, infinite intelligence, God, however you look at it. For me, I call it God, and be in alignment there to react in the appropriate manner that you want to intend to react. So therefore you kind of deflect or keep the bad things out and let the good things in. Kind of like when, like when we cook food, or when we, do this or do that, or like you said, you guys gave the perfect analogy of how little things can creep in and we don't even realize it's crept in because we're so busy with everything else in life that then all of a sudden we've gone from basically a positive state to a negative state, and how that negative state can always seem to always be the thing that overwhelms us more than the positive. And that's the one thing, I've even noticed for myself, how much the negative seems to grow bigger and faster and what consumes me more than the positive. And it's harder to always stay in the positive than it is, and tends to seem to be easier to stay in the negative. And that's, I think, maybe this one thing I never totally clicked into to understand. I think I just now kind of clicked into it a little better.
Because would everybody agree that we're not really taught, we're not equipped with the tools at an early age, because our families don't know. They do the same thing, and they teach us this, and the world and society teaches us this. But would you agree that we don't come equipped with the tools to be able to combat all that? Because we can start off with the best and highest and most amazing intention, and then pow, the world hits us, and then we're like, oh God, it's always me. Like, if it's always something, it's always this, that, or the other. And then with everything that the world throws at us during the day, then it's like we get a little more deflated, and we become a little bit more of a breeding ground for the negativity, and it just continues to snowball and grow. But we don't have the tools. I was talking to a young lady, and she was like, I'm so afraid to do live streaming because the trolls will come on and they start calling you fat, and they start saying these sex things. And I'm like, girl, I wish they would. Look, I did a Periscope last week, and I was looking back at the replay, and there was one troll on that came onto my stream. And he said something. He said, you're ugly. But I need you to know that during the stream, I didn't even see that fool. And he just said one thing and left. Usually trolls come in and they keep on, keep it on. I didn't even give him no energy. He understood there was nowhere for him to be all up in my stream. Automatically. And it's because we don't even realize that we have, that we I don't even know how to say it. We're not active participants in our lives, because we're not taught to be active participants in our lives. We're taught to be passive participants. And the subtle little hints and stories and reminders that we get when we start being aware as children, and we start observing our families and friends, then we are taught that life happens to us. And there's nothing that you can do about life just happening to you. You have no control over life being what it is. It just sucks, and it just happens to you. But when we're actively part of our lives and conscious and in alignment with our intentions, have you ever noticed that life doesn't just happen to suck so much? Or is it just me?
Just reminded me of a quote, everything happens for me, not to me, which always, if I'm going through something, that opens up everything. If something I perceive happening is bad, okay, and we tend to say, oh, this is happening to me, but what if it's happening for me? In the bigger picture, it's this isn't working out because something greater is coming. But I was just before this listening to Earl Nightingale's The Strangest Secret, and I think I've mentioned this on the Hangout before. I listen to this every once in a while to get me back on track with my thoughts. But one thing he says is, what we've been given free in this life, we don't honor. We grow up, it's along the same lines of what you're saying, Christina. We grow up in a society the way we do. But he was saying how the things we get for free, like our body, our mind, like we just sort of, ignore, and we go for these external things. Like, I want that, I want that, I want that. But the greatest things, the way we can really create our life and have our life the way we want is with the things we've been given to for free from, creator, this body, this mind, we have everything to create our life and to change those negative things. And he says in the audio too, it's very easy to go to the negative because same thing, we don't have the tools, and we've been given this for free, and we don't see the value in the free stuff as much. So we sort of just, whatever, it doesn't do anything. But these are where everything happens, is inside of us. And it was funny when you mentioned the super power shield. I was thinking the exact same thing. Like, there's like this shield when you're present and you're with that energy, whatever your intention is. Like, I'm going to be loving today, I'm going to be kind. Or, even if you're not setting the intention, but you just are carrying that energy with you, it's like you have this shield. And it reminded me of a audio from Abraham Hicks. It's like when you're in that energy, things just don't come to you. You could be walking down the street and next to somebody where some mean person goes up and yells at this person for no reason or attacks them somehow, but they totally don't see you because you're not in that vibration of the anger or violence. And she's like, they say things about this, like car accidents. It reminded me of a friend who she probably was in 3 car accidents within a month or something, like really bad ones too. And I'm like, wow. And she realized later that it was her mindset. Like, in her life, things were always like falling apart, accident this, accident that. And it was because of the energy she was functioning in. And it like you said, Christine, it's like we can't see really the bigger picture of it all the things that the universe is doing. We maybe see 1% of it, of what's actually happening with the energies. And how we were talking about one doubt coming in. I went to a networking event one night, and I didn't realize till after, like, I'm standing waiting for a car to pick me up, and this car of punks, with their loud music and young kids, they're yelling at me, what did they call me? Something like olive oil. I guess, I have my hair up and I'm really skinny, like olive oil, But they said some other nasty things after that. And, at first I'm like, whatever, they're just kids, they're being nasty, whatever. But then I realized that it upset me because I'm like, there must be something off with me to be attracting this. Because I normally, I don't attract that kind of thing these days. So I looked at it and I saw how I was doubting myself in the networking meeting. Like, I've sort of made myself small in there, and like, I'm not important, and why am I here anyway? And so it was interesting, like those things that happen that was sort of like, why is this happening? It can help us if we really look, okay, where was I in that moment? Where was my energy? Where was my thoughts? Where was my feelings? And we can shift it. So in that moment I shifted it. I ended up going out with a friend and had a rest of the night amazing. So, really, I think a lot of it is awareness too. When we have those things that creep in, the sooner we become aware of, okay, where is this coming from? What is this? So that we can shift it. Then, you can shift it like that. So yeah, so much stuff.
So much stuff. That's true. I've been trying to leap out here for the last 45 minutes. I know that there was a lot of truth in what Christina said at the beginning when it sounded like she was just pouncing on Dan. She had gotten up on the wrong side of the bed, or the right side of the bed, or the real side of the bed. And I realized I had a tear rolling down the left side of my face. And that always tells me that I'm hearing truth somewhere. And a little bit later, more recently, I was feeling some moisture across my upper lip, and I realized, this stuff is just washing over me, and I'm still not able to absorb it. It frustrates me that in my life, I feel that my intention for my whole life, as a child, I set intentions for my life, and I believed I knew what I wanted my life to be, and my life has been so not those things, not the things that have been most important, not the things that I have intended the most, and it frustrates me no end. I mean, I can look at it and I can say, oh, well, isn't it great that I understood this and I learned that and I found out this and I'm not the way that I thought that I was and I'm really somebody else. And, all these things are well and good, but I go back to it's kind of like my thumb is tacked down to this idea of intention. And what about all that? What about all those intentions that I set when I was young that are still important to me? One of them that's really, really important to me. I expected to be one of these people who would be married my whole life. Well, I have been married my whole life. I've had 2 marriages, 20 years each, and they've been nothing. I mean, they've been nothing like I intended and expected. The marriage that I'm in now is nothing. I haven't even seen my husband, heard from my husband, known about my husband for the last 17 and a half years. I don't know where he is. Oh, I pretty much have an idea of where he is. He's hanging out with Catherine somewhere in Colorado. But I mean, my life is insane compared to if I look back and I think about what it was I intended I would be. If in high school you write your own little deal and you say, well, I'm the cheerleader for the world and I'm the happy person and I'm the glad person that everybody comes to for some wisdom and for some insight and for some whatever. No, that's not been what it's been at all. And I realized that I was getting really out of hand and that I was really getting mean about the fact that I've never felt really loved by someone that I really love. And so I thought, well, I need to get off of that. I need to get away from that. I need to stop being like that. So I got to where I've focused on other things that I'm striving for and want to be in my life. And lo and behold, I've been laid low by this most recent set of episodes. I thought I would never have another set of episodes. Here I'm writing a book about being bipolar and how you don't have to be bipolar, how you can undo bipolar. And here I am in the 4th set of episodes, or 6th set, or whatever set it is. And I'm laid low by it, and I realize how alone I am. Last night I realized I was going to be out of electricity before the night was out, and I had no money. I had no place to go for money. I didn't have an operating car in the drive. It was sitting there, and I was afraid to drive it. And I called around, and I thought, I can't get a hold of anybody. I can't even reach my grandson. I didn't even know what his phone number is, his current phone number is. And as I thought about it, I thought, no, wait, I just got a hold of somebody. Look at this miracle here. Look at this miracle there. Look at this wonderful thing here. Look at this wonderful thing there. And I can do that. I can bounce myself insane. That this is where my energy is. This is why I'm upset. This is why I'm frustrated and focused on that. And then I can think, oh, a miracle, a miracle. My life's a miracle. Life's such a miracle and such a wonderful thing. And I'm so fortunate and so blessed in my life. Well, now that the whole world, Chris isn't on anymore to remind me that I'm not on national television. I feel like I'm on national live television for the rest of the time that I exist. Somebody will be able to get on and say, look at that woman. She's just going nuts. Well, here I am. So help! I'm okay. I'm really okay.
That's powerful, Karen. Thank you for sharing.
We love you, Karen. We're here.
Yeah.
We love you so much. And I recognize that you are able to bring yourself out of those tough times when you say that, I'm so blessed, and you recognize those things. That's powerful. That's a huge thing. And you can keep doing that. And we're here for you. We love you.
Thank you so much. Thank you all.
Now that's what I talk about by saying keeping it 100% real, Karen.
I was going to
that's
say,
good stuff.
I was going to say, in some ways, I understand some of Karen's frustration because I too deal with, because of my background, dealing with parents having been abused, and so I've always been searching for the type of love that I feel I give out to other people because I have a big heart and I love people just I think sometimes more so than people realize what they like or what they want, because I've been told that in some ways. And it's like, what's wrong with that though? And then I tend to question myself and say, why can't I just find, one person that can just respond back in the same way, in the same type of love that I'm trying to give out? And so I truly understand that frustration, Karen. It's painful and it drives you nuts, and it drives you, and you just really, you're on a constant search. And it's, you know, those moments do come in up and down things. I'm not bipolar, but I do understand the, being there, and how it, can really, make you just question everybody and everything, and why, when love is supposed to be such a transcendent and something so big and powerful, well, where's that big and powerful thing that I need back?
Yeah, been there too with all of it, the love and the, being in a place where things are being shut off. And yeah, so I feel you, and can resonate. And I just was remembering, we're in the void of the moon right now. It's a new moon today, and it's in Aries. And Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. So this is like a new year coming in the next few hours. So it's really a great time right now in the next few hours to really write your intention. So it's like no mistake that we're having the intention hangout today. So really, if you can have a notebook or something to get clear on your intention to bring in with this new Aries, it's fire. It's like out, and it's ready to manifest. So getting clear with our intentions for this new year of the zodiac, and it's a really powerful moment. So I forget the exact time, but I can put it in the chat. Like maybe it's like 6 p.m. when the new moon in Aries actually arrives. So you can even do a little ritual, like light a candle, or go to the nature and put your intentions into something in nature. So yeah, it's perfect that we're doing this right now.
I told you this was going to be that chapter, Samantha, didn't I? Didn't I say this was the chapter?
Oh, heck yeah, you did, Christina. And we haven't even touched on everything that was discussed in the audio or in the book chapter. And I feel like we could probably continue this conversation next week as well. Do you guys want to dig deeper into this topic next week too?
Yeah, because there's some more good nuggets in this chapter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're coming up on the top of the hour, guys, and I wanted to address one more thing. Sandy, you reminded me. I don't remember what you were saying, but you reminded me of something that Michael Singer was talking about in the previous chapter's interview, or in his book that I read, because I read his book and listened to that interview, and one of the things he was talking about was was that, when you were saying everything is happening for me versus to me, he was saying that when things come up, that voice in your head, that chatter, all that stuff that comes up and says, well, this isn't fair, I don't like it, this isn't what I wanted, da 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 da. You have the opportunity to let go of all of that, lean away from those thoughts, and step into your own peace. And that's when those opportunities, that's what those opportunities are for. That's what he was saying. And I completely agree with that, because when we experience something that we have voices come up in our head that telling us we don't like it, that's just mumbo jumbo in our head. It's just stuff that it comes from expectations, it comes from our fears, it comes from our what's the shoulda, woulda, couldas, and we don't have to think that stuff. We don't have to think that. We can let go of those thoughts and sit in our own peace and be present, like you were saying, Christina, in the moment instead, and look at the things around us that we can be grateful for instead. And that is how we can shift from being reactive to being intentional. So that's what I wanted to wrap up with for today, guys. Does anybody want to add any final thoughts before we close the show for today?
I had one that I wanted to bring up earlier, and I'll probably forget it next week if I don't say it now. So I also wanted to say that I've learned with the power of intention too, that that is my ultimate sort of homage to respecting someone else enough to trust in their whatever their intention is. So if I say, no to something or whatever, it's been because I was born with that disease to please too, Sandy, that Oprah has. And it has been so liberating for me because I learned that when I stay with my integrity, then I'm respecting that next person enough to say that their integrity will allow them to receive my response in how it's meant, not as an affront to them, but as being true to me. And that has helped me start to really foster a respect and a confidence in others. Because if you think about it, underneath that whole thinking that somebody's going to be mad at me or thinking that somebody's going to not want to talk to me anymore and not like me anymore, all of that, underneath all of that, I was essentially saying, I don't trust or have the confidence in you to be or to give. And so with every level of growth with this intention, I'm also learning a new kind of respect for just humankind. And that's been liberating for me.
Catherine shared a comment. I was going to add that. Does anybody else have a final thought? Raise your hand or just jump out. Okay.
I was gonna jump out,
yeah.
but my battery's getting low on my computer, so I was gonna plug it in, but I'll do it in a second. No, it was really, this today was really kind of helpful for me in some ways because, like I said, the way Christina said some things kind of helped clarify things I needed to have it clarified, I think. And just, I think it was a way for some of us to get some things out too that needed to get out. And I appreciate Sandy letting us know that kind of where this is in the I'm not a big follower of the lunar astrology or any of that, but hearing that today kind of can be a start to kind of refresh and kind of reset. I needed to hear that too. So I think I'm going to look forward to that and just kind of reset, the intentions and try and be, as Christina put it, more present in what's going on so that way I can connect in the ways I need to connect with, for me, God, and how to respond to things better rather than reacting to things and letting those things take control and expanding, becoming bigger when I don't want those things to be bigger. And I want the more positive things that I have intentioned and want to come out of that, be where I head. So thanks.
All right, Catherine posted a little thing in here. She says, the need to please is human. It's a tribal instinct. Those that don't please the tribe get kicked out and die. It's archaic programming that we have to consciously override. And that's a big thing. It's how we've been taught as we've grown up, these expectations that people are expecting us to be or act or do or say or look or etc. And if that isn't true for us, then it's that we have to have that confidence in our own selves to overcome that, to overcome this BS that the society says that we're supposed to be, do, act, etc. And I mean, that's a big thing. So But if we're trying to conform because we think that's what we're supposed to do, then we're just causing ourselves more difficulty and more pain and frustration of our lives. Whereas if we're true to ourselves and we follow our own path, then we have more peace. That's kind of what my thought on what Catherine just said. So. All right, guys. Well, I just want to tell you all thank you for joining us. Thank you for sharing your thoughts and feelings and experiences and knowledge. I mean, we loved you so very much, and that's what we come here for. That's why we all jump on this every week so that we can gain that insight and learn and grow with each other. So, and Mayline, I just wanted to say welcome. I know we didn't have an opportunity to really jump out and say hey to you until this moment, but I wanted to let you know that we do appreciate you jumping on here. We hope to see you again sometime. And if you'd like to join in on the conversation, you're welcome to do so. Okay, so for next week, we'll continue with part 2 of our discussion on intention. And that's it. So guys, have a great, awesome, amazing weekend. And we will see you next week on the Saturday Morning Mastermind. Bye for now.